I think one of the things that I thought about changing myself around my weight is that I was going to make a change and then it would be effortless. And when I got into the process, I realized how deep into reflection and action I had to get in order to make those changes. The other thing I noticed about myself is that I was going through the same reflective processes over and over and over again. This was happening for me during COVID. We were living a life of isolation at that time, and I was spending a lot of time online looking for answers, looking for resources that would help me understand the process of change that I was going through. I found a lot of individual details, and then I found large-scale stories, but I didn't find enough that broke it down into smaller pieces for myself. And that's really why I built Transform Shadows, was to find a way to talk about my experiences in a way that was authentic to both the story that I was experiencing as well as the mental processes that I was going through. And so I developed my Transform Shadows framework. Transformation is a big thing. It's a hopeful thing. It's what I was always looking for in losing half of my weight and living a different life. That's the positive part. The struggle is the harder part of this Transform Shadows framework. I wish I didn't have an ongoing struggle, but I will say that it gets easier. And part of what makes it easier is the fact that I know what I'm up against now. And when I started going through the same processes over and over again, that's when I thought I need something to put into words the mental processes. And that's where Name My Shadows came from. Name My Shadows is the starting point. We can't change ourselves if we're not honest about where we're starting. And that sometimes is hard when it comes to weight, especially in a society that builds a lot of shame around weight. Then I have to face my shadows. Facing my shadows is about taking a step toward action. It's more than being honest with myself. Facing my shadows is taking that leap. It's uncomfortable. It's really uncomfortable at times, quite honestly, as I think about it. But facing my shadows is really important to change my shadows, and understanding comes next. It may not be a linear process that you're going through, but any change I've made, I've had to work to understand. And in that process of understanding is when I can find the fight. I have to fight my shadows. I succeed, I fail. I build my learning through reflection. When I fail, I have to oftentimes reframe myself, how I've changed. The reframing is really important part of this process. The more I work with other people in this process, the more I see the power of what it means to reframe and to come at this again and again, because that's where some of the grit comes in making the change. And when that happens and all goes well, that transformation process not only happens, but it feels like I transcend myself. The process feels effortless. Now, I wish I stayed in that period of transcendence all the time, but the reality is this environment is complex and I'm human. And so I find that I go in and out of that transcendence, but the longer I do this, the more I know how to create that feeling for myself in the life I live and the choices that I make. And this process is something that I really want you to think about as you go through your own life and you study the processes that you are going through. How are you naming your shadows, facing your shadows, understanding your shadows, fighting your shadows, reframing your shadows, and moving to that period where you feel that you are transforming your shadows? And if all goes well, how does it feel and what are you doing when you are transcending your shadows? This is how you will own the process, and this is how you will find your own answers.